This world is full of secrets. Some carved in stone, others buried beneath our feet, and a few just waiting to jump out and yell, "Surprise!" From ancient warriors wielding impossible swords to eerie labyrinths no one can explain. The Ulbert swords were made between about an AD, so right solid in the high Viking period. History has a way of keeping us on our toes. Today we're diving into jaw-dropping discoveries. A cannibal pit in Bronze Age Britain. Chinese coins mysteriously turning up in medieval England. Oh, it's not cologne. It's not a coin. It's actually better, I think. And even a prehistoric dog who lived like royalty. So grab your snacks, call your favorite conspiracy theorist, and get comfy. This episode is one strange ride through the forgotten chapters of human history. The impossible warrior sword. Archaeologists working in Germany have made an impressive discovery. They found an exceptionally well-preserved sword. So well-preserved, it almost still shines, which is remarkable because it's more than years old. In the quiet soil of Nordlingen, Bavaria, archaeologists dug up a relic straight out of myth, a gleaming bronze sword that had been buried for over years. But this wasn't just any old blade. It was big, heavy, beautiful, and some were incredibly advanced in their techniques. Quite beautiful and hard to produce even today in a modern shop. The kind of weapon you'd expect to see in the hands of a legendary warrior or maybe a fantasy video game boss. And here's the kicker. It was in nearly perfect condition. No dents, no battle scars, just pure polished bronze like it had just been forged yesterday. Buried with the sword were the remains of a man, a woman, and a child. No one knows who they were, but some believe they were a family of status, possibly tied to the sword's original owner. The real mystery lies in the weapon's craftsmanship. It features a rare octagonal hilt, something only a handful of expert metal workers in Bronze Age Germany or Denmark could create. That kind of detail wasn't for show. Blacksmiths were often considered just by nature somewhat magic, right? And to be able to take this raw material and produce an incredible steel sword. This was a functional weapon balanced just right to deliver deadly slashes. Yet oddly enough, the sword shows no signs of use, not even a nick. Was it ceremonial, or was it a sleeping giant, never used but ready if called upon? Researchers even held live reenactment sword fights to test it. Spoiler alert, it can slice, but the owner still unknown. A Chinese secret buried in Britain. Out in the green fields of England, something turned up that shouldn't exist. A tiny Chinese coin from the Northern Song dynasty, minted nearly 1,000 years ago, not once, but twice. One appeared in Cheshire and then another surfaced in Hampshire, almost m away. Two different spots. Two ancient coins from medieval China. This isn't just odd, it's borderline impossible. Most experts were quick to dismiss them as modern misplacements. Maybe some Victorian collector dropped them while taking a stroll. That would be the easy explanation. But then came the twist. These coins weren't just lying around. They were found near medieval artifacts, near trade weights, Roman coins, and musk balls. One even turned up next to fragments of imported Chinese pottery. That's no casual coin drop. Dr. Caitlin Green of Cambridge isn't buying the oops, someone lost their collection theory. She believes there may have been actual contact, real trade between Britain and East Asia centuries before Marco Polo made headlines. And there's evidence an Englishman named Basil was living in Mongolia by Mongol envoys, crossed the English Channel by King Edward II was sending letters to Chinese emperors. These two coins might be proof of a forgotten global network. Or maybe one bold traveler made the world smaller and dropped some change along the way. A cannibal massacre. In the peaceful fields of Somerset beneath a quiet patch of earth, archaeologists uncovered a secret that's pure nightmare fuel. A FT-deep shaft, long forgotten, filled with shattered human bones. Over bone fragments belonged to at least people, men, women, and children. And these weren't respectful burials. These were victims. Victims of what experts now believe was the largest prehistoric massacre ever discovered in Britain. And it gets worse. The bodies weren't just dumped. They were butchered, defleed, possibly eaten. Some skulls showed blunt force trauma. Others had clean, intentional cut marks. No evidence of a fight, no signs of a battle. This wasn't a war. It was an ambush, a slaughter, and it may have ended with cannibalism. At first, archaeologists considered the possibility of ritual, maybe starvation, maybe desperation. But nearby cattle bones tell another story. There was plenty of food, so why eat people? Why mutilate them? One chilling theory stands out. The attackers weren't just killing. They were dehumanizing. Eating their victims wasn't about survival. It was about humiliation, dominance, and terror. The site had been ignored for decades. Only now, with new technology and analysis, are we learning the gruesome truth. A moment in Bronze Age Britain where something snapped, and someone made the decision to turn a community into a warning carved in blood and bone. The fake fossil of Ushiawa man in the S. A groundbreaking discovery in Toyohashi, Japan sent waves through the archaeological world. Scientists believe they had found Japan's oldest human fossil, a partial arm and leg buried for over years. Nicknamed Ushiawa man, this ancient ancestor was celebrated as a milestone in Japanese prehistory. But as it turns out, Ushia man wasn't a man at all. Decades later, doubts began creeping in. Something about the bones just felt off. They looked too thick, too heavy, too beast-like. Finally, with new D-scanning and DNA testing, the truth came crashing down. Ushiawa man was actually a prehistoric brown bear, a big hairy case of mistaken identity. Back in the S, Japan didn't have much fossil experience, especially with bear remains. The tools were primitive, and assumptions filled the gaps. If it vaguely looked human, they ran with it. For years, museum plaques and school books celebrated a discovery that was in fact one giant bear blunder. With Ushiawa men now officially demoted to Ushiawa bear, the title for Japan's oldest human remains shifts to bones found in Hamakita and even older ones in the Ryukyu Islands, some dating back years. Ironically, the same mistake happened in reverse in Alaska, where a supposed bear bone turned out to be human. History has a strange sense of humor. So do bears, apparently. A doggone good discovery in Saudi Arabia. In the harsh deserts of northwest Saudi Arabia, where rivers are myths and the sun shows no mercy, archaeologists stumbled upon a feel-good surprise. Evidence of the Arabian Peninsula's oldest known dog-human friendship. Nestled inside a year-old burial site were the remains of a beloved pup buried alongside its human companions. But this wasn't some random stray. This dog lived a long, cared for life, and even developed arthritis. Arthritis in a wild dog would have been a death sentence, but not for this one. Somebody fed it, protected it, and gave it a dignified send-off in the afterlife. That kind of care screams one thing: family. Scientists from the University of Western Australia teamed up with Saudi researchers and found that this pup wasn't alone in history. The burial site also held tools, rock art, and signs of a community that treated dogs not as tools, but as partners. The surrounding carvings show dogs chasing ibexes alongside hunters. That means these ancient dogs weren't just pets. They were hunting companions, survivors, legends. Until now, the earliest signs of dog domestication in the region were thousands of years younger. This discovery pushes that timeline back significantly. It proves that even in the most unforgiving environments, the bond between humans and dogs was already thriving. Man's best friend forever. Now first, like always, be sure to hit the like button down below. It helps us out tremendously with the reach of this video. Thank you. The apocalypse cometh. Imagine waking up to the news that Earth has a date with destiny, and it's penciled in for December end. That's when asteroid Yara might, just might, smash into our planet with the force of millions of tons of TNT. The odds, a cozy %. That's roughly and not high enough to panic, but not low enough to relax either. The asteroid is about FT wide, comparable to the Tunguska space rock that obliterated square miles of Siberian forest in Tunguska exploded midair, vaporizing trees without leaving a crater. If YR behaves the same, we could be looking at another sky bomb. But if it doesn't break apart, a direct hit could vaporize an entire city. The strike zone vast. It could land anywhere between South America, the Atlantic Ocean, or sub-Saharan Africa. So far, NASA's impact monitoring system can't say for sure. Radar measurements in will give us a better picture, assuming we're still checking. Until then, astronomers are racing to determine the asteroid's composition. If it's made of stone, it might break apart. If it's iron, well, brace yourself. That's the stuff that punches through the atmosphere like it's butter. So, sleep tight. Just remember, space always has the last word. A mystery for the dead in Ecuador. All the farmer wanted was water. After waiting over a decade for a promised irrigation tank, construction finally began on his land in Mulo, a remote region in Ecuador. But as workers dug into the earth, they struck something unexpected. Bones, human bones, lots of them. Suddenly, a simple water project turned into a full-blown archaeological dig. What they had uncovered was an ancient Inca burial site, dating back roughly years to the turbulent era when the Inca Empire was colliding with Spanish colonial forces. The bodies unearthed weren't just random burials. They came with ceramics, carved artifacts, and one item that made absolutely no sense, a Christian cross. At that time, Christianity hadn't yet taken hold in the region. So how did it end up buried with Inca dead? Among the bones was a strange ring made of an unknown material. Not gold, not silver, not copper. Experts still don't know what it is. Equally bizarre were the perfectly preserved teeth in skeletons that had otherwise been ravaged by centuries of water damage. Lead archaeologist Esteban Aosta believes this graveyard may reveal how native populations reacted to the early Spanish presence by resisting, adapting, or perhaps something else entirely. Meanwhile, the farmer still waits for his water tank. Sometimes history refuses to stay buried, and sometimes it holds up your plumbing. Digging up Napoleon's last stand, Waterloo, a name etched in history as the place where Napoleon's empire crumbled. Tens of thousands died in that single battle, and yet for years, there was one glaring mystery. Where were all the bodies? With an estimated soldiers killed or wounded, archaeologists found only 2 complete skeletons until now. A UK charity called Waterloo launched a dig near the site and made a spine-chilling discovery. A mass grave unlike any seen before. Nicknamed the Gore Pit, it held amputated limbs, dead horses, an ox, and the butchered remains of soldiers. Many of the limbs bore saw marks, signs of battlefield amputations done in a hurry and without anesthesia. Burial wasn't orderly. Ammunition pouches were used to separate human remains from animals, suggesting someone tried to show a shred of dignity amid the chaos. Experts now believe this site was part of a massive post-battle cleanup effort, one pit to collect the carnage as quickly as possible. For centuries, some believed Waterloo's dead had been ground up and sold as fertilizer. While that grim theory might still hold some truth, this gruesome trench proves that at least some of the fallen were buried, albeit hastily. It's a reminder that history isn't always carved in marble. Sometimes it's buried in blood and mud, just waiting to resurface. The 1,000-year-old turtle of Angkor. Hidden beneath centuries of jungle and silence, a stone turtle waited patiently in the shadows of Cambodia's Angkor temple complex. Then one day, it finally saw the sun again. Discovered at the base of the ancient Strang Reservoir, this turtle-shaped sculpture isn't just a cute relic. It's a sacred symbol dating back over 1,000 years. Crafted in the th century, the turtle was more than art. In Khmer culture, turtles symbolized longevity, prosperity, and cosmic stability. Placing one in a temple wasn't decorative. It was divine insurance. But that wasn't all archaeologists found. Alongside the turtle were massive trident worthy of myth, and the carved stone head of a naga, a venomous serpent-like deity from ancient legend. These discoveries prove that Angkor wasn't just a tourist hotspot or a religious site. It was a full-blown spiritual powerhouse rich with symbolism and cosmic significance. The turtle in particular may have been part of a sacred ritual space lost when Angkor was reclaimed by nature centuries ago. Angkor isn't just Cambodia's pride. It's on the national flag. And this find deepens that pride, reminding the world that there's still much to uncover beneath its roots and stones. Sometimes it takes 1,000 years for a turtle to speak. But when it does, it brings an entire civilization's soul with it. Norway's ancient runestone message. In the cold soil of Norway, archaeologists unearthed what could be the oldest runestone ever carved, a rugged slab of sandstone whispering across years. Dubbed the swinging stone, it predates the Viking Age by centuries. This is not your typical Norse graffiti. It may very well be the first text message of Northern Europe. Most runstones date from the Ard to TH centuries, but the Svingaroo stone, it dates back to BC. That's over years older than anyone thought possible. Pieced together like a puzzle from sandstone fragments at a burial site, the runes it carries are baffling. Some symbols look familiar, while others have never been seen before. It's possible this was an early experiment, runes in the making before a standard alphabet ever existed. So what does it say? That's the mystery. Scholars can't read it. It could be a curse, a dedication, or a prehistoric. I was here. But whatever the message, it proves people in this region were already trying to make their words immortal. The Svingaroo stone turns history on its head. It suggests that written communication began earlier and evolved more creatively than we assumed. Before Vikings, before kingdoms, before even the myth of Odin, someone somewhere in ancient Norway picked up a chisel and carved a message meant to last forever. From warrior swords that never saw battle to coins lost in the wrong century. From ancient dogs living like royalty to mysterious turtle guardians of forgotten temples, these stories remind us that history isn't a straight line. It's a web of strange, beautiful, and sometimes terrifying moments buried in time, waiting for curious hands to dig them up. Every artifact, every bone, every etched rune is a whisper from the past telling us we don't know as much as we think we do. So keep asking questions, keep digging, and most importantly, keep watching because the past is never really past.